Greetings, this is another reader. Welcome back to my channel. So this is a very unexpected video. Recently I decided to clean my bookshelves to wipe the dust. Here I put all the things I keep on my bookshelf, and I put all the books over here. These are all the books that I keep on the bookshelf. I also have big books in these. I don't know how they're called in English. Not the drawers, but you got the point. So in this unexpected video I am going to go through all the books that I own. This is sort of a bookshelf tour. So without further ado, let's get started. Easy read in English language, 100 English jokes by Ilya Frank. This is good for learning English. The Hound of the Baskervilles by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Unfinished Tales of Numenor and Middle-earth by J.R.R. Tolkien, edited by Christopher Tolkien. And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. It's hard for me to pronounce her name. The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain. I don't like this edition because the font is very small. It's hard for me to read. I need to replace this edition. The Complete Novels and Stories of Sherlock Holmes by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle in 2 volumes. David Copperfield by Charles Dickens. This painting is very beautiful, by the way. A Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. I bought the same copy for my friend. Fever Dream by George R.R. Martin. Don't ask me about this edition. I know that it's ruined. The Kingkiller Chronicle, The Name of the Wind and the Wise Man's Fear by Patrick Rothfuss. On Fairy Stories by J.R.R. Tolkien, expanded edition with commentary and notes. Edited by Verlin Flieger and Douglas A. Anderson. Here are all 3 separate stories from the Silmarillion. Beren and Luthien, The Children of Húrin, and The Fall of Gondolin. This is my latest purchase. I bought Beren and Luthien in 2020 and Children of Húrin in 2021. The Fall of Gondolin in 2022. The Lord of the Rings series, The Fellowship of the Ring, The Two Towers, and Return of the King. Harry Potter by Jk Rowling, Philosopher's Stone, Chamber of Secrets, Prisoner of Azkaban. I need to continue buying this series. I have 4 books left. And finally, His Dark Materials by Philip Pullman, Northern Lights, The Subtle Knife, and The Amber Spyglass. The first row is over. Now excuse me, I have to put these books back. I'll be back in a while. Finished. I don't want this place to be a mess, that's why I put all the books back. Now let's go to the second row. These 5 books are all Agatha Christie books. Death Comes at the End, Hickory Dickory Dock, Murder at the Orient Express, that book was amazing. And Then There Were None. Unpopular opinion, the translation was better than the original. And my recent purchase, Death on a Nile. Can't wait to read this. Coraline by Neil Gaiman. In Georgian, I also have Russian version. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory by Roald Dahl. You probably guessed this book because Johnny Depp is easily recognizable and the Oompa Loompas. I love this book very much. I used to have Russian version in Moscow. But this edition, even if I get either Russian or English version, I'm keeping this one because I have a lot of fond memories with this book. Short Stories in German by Ollie Richards and Alex Rawlings. Now here's the thing about this book. This book, if you're learning German and your level of German is around A2-B1, A2-B1, then this book is good for you. I recently read 1 chapter in this book and I reread it several times to understand it better. It's a very good book, and I also like the edition. I like that it's quite easy to open. 400 Jokes in German by Ilya Frank. The Girl King by Meg Clothier. I don't want to read this book anymore. I think I should give it away to my friend. She's the one who is going to read it. Oh, the most controversial book that I have read in 2021. 21 Lessons for the 21st Century by Yuval Noah Harari, author of Sapiens. Haven't read that one. Paradise Lost by John Milton. I hate how the book turned out like this, even though I was very careful with it, and it was quite easy to open. Bohemian Rhapsody, the definitive biography of Freddie Mercury by Leslie Ann Jones. For those who don't know, Leslie Ann Jones is a journalist who toured with Queen. If you are a fan of Queen, in particular Freddie Mercury, I recommend this biography. It's very good. I do kind of wish that the photos in this book were in color, because they are in black and white. Let me show you. Here. So these are Gravity Falls graphic novels. Issue 1, Issue 2, Issue 3. There are more, but I haven't bought them and I don't think I will. This is literally a comics adaptation of 2 episodes. So this one has the first 2 episodes, this one has a 3rd and 4th, and this one has episodes 5 and 6. This is a great gift for a Gravity Falls fan. The Iliad by Homer. Not today, Homer, not today. Your time will come. Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief by Riordan. So this is the only Percy Jackson book that I have read, and I don't think I am going to continue the series. I bought this book in 2020, so it's kinda... well, you see what happened to the book. Oh, I also like the Chupa Chups thing logo on the book. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. This one contains books 1 and 2, and this one contains books 3, 4, and 5. I can't say that I'm a huge fan of the books. I bought them because Martin Freeman played the main role in the film adaptation. I remember that I quit this one before I finished it, and I don't remember much. I think I should give these books the second chance. I should reread them. I will, at some point. Pet Sematary by Stephen King. This is the first Stephen King book that I bought. I remember that my mother was against me buying this book, but that didn't stop me. I bought it anyway. Oh, and the Ramones song is very good. The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. The Diary of a Wimpy Kid by Jeff Kinney. This book my English tutor brought me from the US. Even though I thought the book was kinda mean, I loved this part. I'll be famous one day, but for now I'm stuck in middle school with a bunch of morons. Opi puhumaan suomea by Muloinen, Hämäläinen and Silverberg. Can't pronounce these Finnish names. Now, I have already mentioned in my videos that in the last decade I was a huge Nightwish fan and I developed an interest in Finnish language. To this day I learn it on Duolingo. I spend a few minutes learning it every day. I think I should go back to this book. My aunt brought this to me from Moscow. And finally, Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. Now, excuse me, I have to put all these books back. Alright, things get more interesting here. A collection of short stories by Arthur Clarke. Orphans of the Sky by Robert Heinlein. Der Zwergnese by Wilhelm Hauff. It's in German. The Land of Oz by L. Frank Baum. Now, the fun fact about this book, it's both in English and Russian. Here's the English version, and here's the Russian version. Obviously, since I didn't read properly in English back in 2010, I read this book in Russian. I think I can read this one in English. By the way, I don't remember anything special from this book, except for the plot twist at the end. I'm not going to spoil anything, but there's a great plot twist. Finally, a journey to my past. Back when I bought books because I heard of them. These are the Maze Runner series by James Dashner, the first one, the second one, The Scorched Trials, and the third one, The Death Cure. Good old times. Speaking of film adaptations, I like the first one. I didn't really enjoy the second one. And the third one I haven't seen. By the way, I know that there were more books in the series, but for me, The Maze Runner is great as a trilogy. Same with Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom Briggs. Here's the first one, the second one, The Hollow City, and the third one, Library of Souls. I know that there are more books, but for me, the third one is a perfect ending. I loved the first book. It was amazing. I read it multiple times and I wouldn't mind reading it again. I bought the first two books back in 2015, back when these books were overhyped. And the third one was still in the process. And I don't have such a strong connection to the third one like I have with the first two. You know what? I look at this book and I remember the good old times when I went to university and read this book. And also this reminds me of those times where I bought books independently. I mean, there was no one to inspire me. A Feast for Crows by George R.R. Martin. Here are the rest of the Song of Ice and Fire books, but this is a different edition, so we will check this one later. So the fourth book is here, Alone. Coraline by Neil Gaiman. I Am Ozzy by Ozzy Osbourne. I love this book. And I love this edition. The Never-Ending Story by Michael Ende. Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card. The complete Dune series. This one has Dune, Dune Messiah and Children of Dune. This one has God Emperor of Dune, Heretics of Dune, and Chapter House of Dune. I've recently completed Dune Messiah, by the way. So we have the first four Wheel of Time books. The Eye of the World, The Great Hunt, The Dragon Reborn, and Shadow Rising. So here, these three books are Atlas Shrugged in three parts. Here's part 1, part 2, and part 3. The books from my past. An Abundance of Catherines by John Green, Paper Towns by John Green, The Casual Vacancy by Jk Rowling. Well, the book turned out to be not as great as I remembered. But I keep it for nostalgic reasons. Excuse me, I have to clean this all up. And so the fourth row. A Criticism of Pure Reason by Immanuel Kant. Ethics and Metaphysics by Aristotle. The Cuckoo's Calling by Robert Galbraith. I really enjoyed this detective story. I have very fond memories of this book. Johann Wolfgang Goethe's Faust. I want to reread this book, at least the first part. I didn't enjoy the second one. Oh, my favorite book, The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. The second book with Logan Lerman's face on the cover. The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. I remember reading this book on the plane when I was flying back from Moscow to Tbilisi back in 2015. The Hound of the Baskervilles by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. The Making of BBC's Sherlock. This is a good biography of the show. How the show was made, how the actors and directors were chosen, and so on. Tav Voyaging by George R.R. Martin. Favorite Dream by George R.R. Martin. Of the next 6 books are all the Stormlight Archive books. The Way of Kings, Words of Radiance, Oathbringer in 2 parts, Rhythm of War in 2 parts. The next 3 books are the First Love books by Joe Abercrombie. The Blade Itself, Before They Are Hanged, this one is my favorite. The Last Argument of Kings. Ending of this series was a total slap into my face. Also notice that the first book is different from second and third. Yes, these are different editions by different publishing houses, but I like the cover of the first book so much I'm not going to replace the edition, just for the aesthetics. And finally, all 6 Scott Pilgrim graphic novels. I'm off to clean this up. Alright, now to the 5th row. Smith of Wootton Major and Other Stories by J.R.R. Tolkien. On Writing by Stephen King, The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, Gone Girl and Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn. These are separate novels, by the way. Grandma Asks to Say She's Sorry by Frederick Bachman. This one has a longer title, but I don't remember it. Beyond the Wall, Exploring A Song of Ice and Fire by George R. R. Martin. This is a collection of essays about A Song of Ice and Fire. I bought this back when I was obsessed with the books and the show. Martin Eden by Jack London. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows by Jk Rowling. Yes. Yeah, I lost the first 6 books. Finally, A Song of Ice and Fire books. A Game of Thrones, A Clash of Kings, A Storm of Swords, The Dance with Dragons in 2 parts. You know, I actually like that A Feast for Crows is in this edition, not in the TV show edition, because the 4th book has Jon Snow on the cover, and I don't like him. By the end of the series, he became the character that I dislike most of all. Sorry, Jon Snow fans out there. The next 5 books are the books by J.R.R. Tolkien. The Silmarillion, The Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, The Two Towers, and Return of the King. Well, I asked my aunt to bring these books, these and the Silmarillion. So this is why the editions are different. I like that the 3rd book has Aragorn on the cover. Oh, and also The Hobbit. For some reason it has Merry and Gimli on the cover. And finally, the last 6 books in this row are all The Witcher books. So, The Last Wish, Sword of Destiny, Blood of the Elves, A Time of Contempt, Baptism by Fire, and The Tower of the Swallow. I have 1 more book left to buy. Yes, I'm not interested in sequels, prequels, and things like that. I'm interested in the main series. I have 1 book left, The Lady of the Lake, and my collection of The Witcher is complete. You know, and I recently grew to appreciate the simplicity of the first 2 books in the Witcher series. The deal is that the later books have all the one storyline that revolves around intrigues, wars, and things like that, while the first 2 books are simply about Geralt fighting monsters. But when I first read The Witcher, I was like, I want The Witcher to be more intriguing. I want to see the royal drama and so on. But now I understand that not all series need to be Game of Thrones. The first 2 Witcher books are great because it has Geralt hunting the monsters, his scenes with Yennefer, and him being friends with Jaskier, Dandelion, or how to say his name. In Russian his name is Ludik. Well, that's his bard friend. Now, excuse me, I have to clean this all up. Alright, we now have 2 rows left. Here's row number 6. These are all the pocket books. It's a very comfortable edition. Good Omens by Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman. I want to read this book again in English. Fathers and Children by Ivan Turgenev. Some Russian classics out there. But I don't like that they translated the book as Fathers and Sons in English. Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. I'd say this book is a must-read. The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. Everything is Illuminated by Jonathan Safran Foer. Now, I remember very well the film, the 2005 film with Elijah Wood in the main role, and it was great. Oh, and by the way, whenever I showed this book to anyone, they thought he was Harry Potter. But I guess in real life Elijah Wood got used to being called Harry Potter all the time. Oh, The Diary of Young Doctor by Mikhail Bulgakov. The Adventure of the Dancing Man by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. And finally, The Iron King by Maurice Druon, the first book in the Accursed Kings series. So the next 2 books have a must-read logo attached. Well, it's a part of the cover. The Girl on the Train by Pollock Hawkins. Oh, those were the good times when I went to university. And The Martian by Andy Weir. Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. The Queen's Gambit by Walter Tevis. The Flickerman by Ted Kosmatka, one of my recent reads. Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis. This one contains the first 4 books in chronological order. The Magician's Nephew, Lion, Witch and the Wardrobe, A Horse and His Boy, and Prince Caspian. I absolutely love The Horse and His Boy. Okay, here are 2 Sir Terry Pratchett novels. Guards, and Equal Rights. The rest are all the Stephen King novels. You know what? I already have a video about all the Stephen King books that I own, so instead of going through this row, I'm going to recommend you checking that video out. And now I will clean this all up and go to the final row. Alright guys, this is the 7th and final row. Oh, fun fact, these editions in row are called Exclusivная Классика, aka Exclusive Classics. I love this edition very much. I love the covers, they're very beautiful and they're comfortable too. Let's go through them. Uncle Tom's Cabin by Harriet Beecher Stowe. One of those books I need to read this year. My recent purchase, The Haunted Hotel by Wilkie Collins. The Divine Comedy by Dante. Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. This one also contains a story named Pearl. Stepford Wives by Ira Levin. Fugue for a Darkening Island by Christopher Priest. Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. 1984 by George Orwell. Lord of the Flies by William Golding. Who Spoke Zarathustra by Friedrich Nietzsche. Politics by Aristotle. The State by Plato. Man for Himself by Erich Fromm. The Great Chessboard by Zbigniew Brzezinski. 12 Chairs by Yevgeny Petrov and Ilya Ilf. The World Order by Henry Kissinger. The Prince by Niccolo Machiavelli. The Art of War by Sun Tzu. A few of these books I mentioned in my book recommendations for international relations students. Go check that one out. The last 3 books are all the Neil Gaiman novels. The Graveyard Book, Neverwhere, and American Gods. And the final book in this video is The Ickebug by Jk Rowling. And that's all. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my video. Please like and subscribe, leave a comment and follow me on social media. Link to my Linktree is down in the description. There is also a link to Amazon where you can buy my debut novel, Nightingale Divine. See you next time. Goodbye.